gentlemen, we are bringing to you a very special episode today, a collaboration between Growing Up Italian, my good friend Sabino's podcast, and Decoding Success, and we are joined by including myself, six absolutely amazing individuals that have literally changed my life, shaped my life, and I think we could all share that same sentiment right there. So
this is the product when you have two friends with a podcast and you just want an excuse to link up with all your friends.
On a Thursday night, nonetheless, when we're pounding down pizzas and wine bottles over here. But to briefly introduce everyone, to my right, I got my boy fucking AJ Long Okudo in the fucking house. Now, listen, I never thought he would be on my podcast, but I'm fucking hype he's here.
I never thought I'd be on your podcast either, bro.
But he's fucking here. We got Mascia here. Very excited to have him. Obviously, you know Phil from past episodes. Phil Mascia's in the house. Steve Pellegrino from past episodes. And obviously, Sabino, as mentioned.
First time on yours.
First time on mine.
You've been on my podcast,
I've been on yours a few times.
So is this not going to be called Decoding Italians?
Yeah.
Yo,
that's a good idea. That might have to be the title of this episode.
That's for
if it's not Imperial. You know?
Seriously, that's what we're here to talk about though today, and how that kind of brought us together as brothers, which is something that we mentioned before we even hopped on this episode. I mean, being in people's wedding parties, bachelor parties to come to, I hope. I'm looking at Nick Mascia.
Hey, that's some pressure. Actually, Steve's first.
Steve too.
Steve's the leadoff right now.
I'm taking my time.
I don't know.
It's all right. I'll take one for the team and speed things up a little bit somehow, some way. But seriously, we all came together over the course of X amount of years, and came together as brothers and also as business partners, which is very rare. So to be able to share this moment with you guys, I'm really grateful for that.
Same here.
As am I. This is awesome.
Gang shit.
How are we diving into this, bro? People don't know what we did, so I think it needs to start with a little of an educational background, and obviously.
Well, I mean, how we met each other.
Well, yeah, Phil and AJ basically started. They're probably the reason we're all here right now.
Well, if we're going to call this thing Decoding Italians, which I'd like to think maybe we will, it all starts with what Italian kids did when they were 17, with me and Phil growing up. And that was, you go to DNA on Saturday night. And from that nightclub, I think Phil and I got this idea. Now, DNA was a little place in Astoria. And Phil and I got this little idea when we were going there, 17-year-olds, and we thought maybe, you know what? I shouldn't say 17-year-olds, but we were 18 years old.
The cat's out of the bag. All right,
I was 17.
We thought, you know what? This is amazing. This is a moment. And all we want to do is create moments for other people. And I think maybe we did.
Absolutely, man. I mean, anyone who sees my Instagram knows I love experiences. I'm always traveling, I'm always looking for something new. The cool thing about what we did was we were the power strip, the power cord behind these experiences. We can make somebody's best night of their life.
Shout outs to all the New York Italians out there that know exactly what we're talking about when we say DNA, which was probably one of the sickest runs of Nightlife. That party had to be there, what? You guys know better than me, 15 years?
I mean, that club was open since the late 90s. So the special thing about DNA is that when we were 18, we didn't say to each other on Saturday morning, hey AJ, what are you doing tonight? It was an automatic understanding.
It's what are you wearing?
What are you wearing? What time are you arriving?
Who are you going with? You on carpool?
I mean, it's a moment in time, so.
What girls you got going?
Yeah, well,
That was probably
and Steve comes out of it. Steve used to come out with the list.
The check.
I have 3 possibles. 1 do not play.
no, and actually.
One if I'm really drunk.
Actually, funny thing about that was DNA had 2 rooms. Hip hop room in the back,
right.
maybe hold 300.
And that room was always the crazy one.
Always the craziest,
Always,
especially after 2.
I forgot
2
about that actually.
So we used to try to coordinate which girl is in the hip hop room, which girl's in the front room. You don't want both of them to mingle, because if you do, you're gonna get kicked in the shin.
Right. Just to even backtrack a little bit and to provide some background, because there's going to be people from New York that are not from New York that are tuned into this, right? So obviously we all know New York is a super competitive space across all areas and all facets of whatever it is, whether that's
100%.
Especially business.
Yeah, business, personal relationships, whatever the case is, it's a competitive fucking place to be. And to be able to operate in nightlife for that long, and for what we did too collectively as a group here for that long and for that duration of time is fucking monumental. So I just wanted to paint that picture for everyone that's tuned into this. But you guys obviously got started a little bit before the rest of us did. And Sabi, I know you were involved in DNA as well. I mean, I was sneaking in there at 16. AJ put the cat out of the bag, so I might as well fucking say it. I mean, I was 16 at that point trying to get in. I think I was like a junior in high school or some shit. So.
Well, Phil and I were involved way before DNA. I mean, you could say me and Phil were involved since preschool. We grew up together, Phil and I, and then by extension, Nikki. So it was the three of us for a long time before we had any aspirations of business or anything like that. It was more about playing baseball on the street, playing football on the street. That's kind of how we started. So there was an initial trust, an initial bond that was formed from that. And as time went on, Matt, Sabino, and Steve came into the mix, and it created 6 of us, which for a long time was a powerhouse, not only in business but in friendship. That's the most important thing right there. Is even after the business has come and gone, and we're all on our own ways doing our own separate things, we're all still friends.
Yeah, till this day. Even though we don't talk to each other every day, you know, it's like, you know, we never missed a beat.
You know what the joy is now? Well, the joy used to be when we used to go home on a Friday night or a Saturday night with some cash in our pocket. Now the joy is seeing one another succeed in whatever our ventures are, whether it be a regular 9-to-5 day job or, you know, a business selling sandwiches,
Kids.
whatever, kids, whatever else it is.
That's a business.
You know, that is a business.
That's a full-time job on its
Yeah,
own.
it is itself. It doesn't pay enough either.
So let's backtrack
Yeah.
just a little bit. And I want to know collectively, I know my reason, but why did each of you guys get into nightlife in general? Was it to make money, or was it to pick up girls? Was
Never
it
to make money.
Right. I mean, I could say the same. For me, it was because I wanted to be the person that was providing the people around me with kind of what you said, the experience, but at the same time, I wanted that experience for free.
Honestly, the reason why I started was because it was guaranteed I was buying 2 bottles every weekend.
So, guy,
So you were a club goer yourself, so it
Yeah.
made sense for you to be a club
Yeah,
goer.
so like, basically I figured I'd make some money back to pay everything I'm spending. 'Cause, you know, I used to make like $300 a week working at the panini shop. And that whole $300 was what you were spending that night with just your outfit and,
Right.
you know, to have a good time.
What was the outfit back then? The Affliction shirt? the
Affliction,
Ed Hardy shirt?
Ed Hardy.
If you didn't have a Lacoste polo and fresh Lacoste polo, then you didn't even go out.
Yeah, that was my space photo for a long time.
I literally remember myself, Matt, Blaze, and Jimmy, some of our other friends not on this podcast, a picture in the club that we're talking about, which is when we came together, called Imperial, and we each had a Lacoste crispy.
It was a Burberry.
Oh, Burberry back
Well,
then.
either it was Burberry or
Yeah.
Lacoste. and
Burberry had to run a little after that.
after
Yeah.
that, but I mean, you were wearing either one of those brands and making sure you got that picture taken.
Yeah, Jimmy, I think, by the way, if Jimmy's listening to this, I know he wants that shirt back after that night.
That was his birthday.
That was
night.
his birthday.
That's great.
I actually, how nightlife started for me, I wanted to go to a teen night. Old school Italian parents, no teen night in sight for me.
Filippo, don't you baila?
No, that's where all the bad stuff goes down. So I actually lied. I said I'm sleeping over at AJ's house. I bring my outfit, get dressed up at his house. We go over there. We're only maybe about an hour into the party. I forgot. Well, I got a call. It's my dad. I know he's pissed. And you know how you can barely hear in the club? Well, he was yelling so loud that I still heard him. So
I heard him in my room too, just letting you guys know.
yeah, I walk outside. AJ, nice enough, obviously, comes with me. I heard an earful that night. But it's kind of like getting your first tattoo. It's a big whack in the beginning, and then it's nothing. So
It
the
gets
next
worse.
month,
It gets easier after
it gets
that.
easier, exactly. So the next month, I go to a teen night that's called Remy. AJ's
I remember
actually,
that too, man.
like that was the best teen night. AJ's actually involved, and at this time we weren't partners in promoting, but you know, best friends in life. And I go to this teen night, and the whole thing was that I just saw a guy who was in his late 40s putting together this event. His name was MRD, Mrs. Acosta.
Shout out to Evan Styles
and,
too. I mean, we.
and Evan.
He didn't come to Patricia's dinner, but yeah, shout
Yo,
out
you want to know what though? He didn't answer me on New Year's Eve, but Evan did hit me up like this week, 2 days ago. He hit me up, and I was
Yeah.
hyped for that. I was
That's
like,
it.
Alright.
he made up for it.
So back then, I go to this event. I'm looking around, and if anyone listening to this podcast, you're a go-getter, high performer. You're in an environment, you see something, and you can create that same thing, and you're like, damn, I know I can do this. I can do it better. So I got that itch. I just thought it was so powerful that A, it's just fun. B, we're creating experiences. So this is how promoting was back then. Back then, there wasn't no social media. There was no MySpace, none of that. It was just a flyer. Everyone had a 3-digit code. So I ran my 3-digit code on, and I still remember it was 654. And I got too lazy at one point, so I started using a hole puncher instead of writing the code. You used to pay $25 to get in, and the cut for the promoter was $3 per head.
Wow, not even 5.
Holy
Not even
shit.
5, $3 per head.
Alright, take that shout out to Evan Styles back, you cheap fuck.
Thank God I'm not that old, bro.
Yeah, so I mean,
He's a legend in the game, though, you know?
AJ was killing it. We decided to link up, and then Nick saw me doing Nightlife, and AJ doing Nightlife for years. There was an event, it's called Area, it was in Flushing, Queens, and we needed a registered person, someone we could trust, because you can't always trust somebody.
Me, Matt, and Steve were already in the picture, by the way.
So he's going into Nikki's first kiss is really what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Hey, I knew this was gonna come out.
Actually, no, it's a good scoop, actually. Islamic Shoe came before that, but anyway, you take that side of the story, because you started
Actually,
it up.
yo, that night, I just want to chime in real quick and say that I wasn't prepared for how cold it was going to be, and
At
I was
Area?
working outside that night, so I borrowed Nick and Phil's
leather
dad's
jacket.
leather jacket.
Wow.
Tank. This was at Area.
Yeah.
That was the first
and
party
you
I
got
ever
it
promoted.
dry clean because
But
it
this
smelled
is
like
when-
cigarettes.
Because I was
Sabino.
blazing bogeys one after another.
And you got it dry
I'm gonna
clean.
go back to Matt's initial question, which
Yeah,
was
yeah.
what did we all do to, what
Right,
did we
right,
want to
right.
do again? So for me, it wasn't money, it wasn't really anything else, it was just, I liked the idea of bringing people together. To me, that was awesome. I enjoyed, more than I enjoyed going out on a Saturday night, I enjoyed Sunday morning. I enjoyed being dining with my boys, talking about what we did on Saturday night, and how much fun it was, how much of an idiot this guy is.
Yo, I can't even go to IHOP, not to cut you off, I can't even go to IHOP and not think about you. Because I remember, like, AJ would order like 6 things, have a bite of like 2
I still
of
do
them, and then Phil would be like, not for nothing, but we shouldn't be splitting this bill. Because,
No, straight up.
Yo, what
Because,
a
like-
real thing.
because he's like, you order $100 worth of food, I order 20,
Oh
and we
my
gotta go
God.
80 and 80, like,
No, it's true.
No,
I still
that's
do it.
exactly what happened.
And I still do
and
it.
then ordering the pitchers of Kool-Aid there, or what was the red drink they have?
Oh, it's fruit punch.
Yeah, a fruit punch.
It's awesome too.
That's.
I can't go to IHOP and not think about that, man.
It's just one of the many things though that has impacted our lives, right? Think about that when you go to IHOP. For me, the Glendale Diner will always be that place.
That was a solid
Always.
place. That was a solid place.
I always think, I'm not gonna drop names, but when the kid got lumped up there.
Oh, yeah.
You were there for that?
Oh
Yeah.
No, I wasn't, I never was.
I was there
You
for
were
that.
I don't think I was, because, you know, I'm the Brooklyn one that you all use.
No, we should mention this. We're all from Queens, New York, by the way, especially now. Sabino's been waiting to hear this for a very long
No,
time.
I'm still from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Being that he now lives in Queens, he's been wanting that title.
You
but-
could take the lion out of the jungle, you can't take the jungle out of the lion. I'm still Brooklyn.
Okay, Mr. Brooklyn.
I'm still Brooklyn.
Nicky, why'd you get a nightlife, bro?
So with me, it was actually a funny story. As AJ and Phil were saying, in the beginning, they were promoting and they needed somebody to do the register one night in area. And the thing about, obviously, business in general, it all goes down to people you can trust. And when you have somebody dealing with thousands of dollars, especially in the club business, which is cash,
Right.
you have people dealing with thousands of dollars, you need to have somebody there you can trust. And obviously, they just turned to me, and it was a one-time thing. It wasn't, we need you to work every week, we need you to work one time.
Yeah, you were way too cool for us, bro. You're like, I don't think I can commit to this.
You know what it was? I saw you guys do this for so many years, and I just kind of told myself it wasn't for me, and I really never gave it a fair chance. So the first night I was working, it was area that party, and the story that they were getting at before was basically one night, and AJ, correct me if I'm wrong, one night this girl came to the register and she wanted to pay. She didn't want to pay, and the thing about me is nobody's getting past the register without paying because that's my
Which
job.
is very respectable, by
At
the
the
way.
end of the day, if they counted, listen, there was 400 people that came in and they know 200 people were supposed to pay, and there was $20 per person, it was my job to have the correct amount of money there.
If 400 people came in and only 200 paid, I know 2 things. Number 1, Evan Styles did the door.
That's right.
And number 2, I don't know. Philly's gonna have a fucking fit at the end of the night.
We used to do
Or Veronica had too many friends there.
We used to do the ladies free before 11, so we used to get a lot of ladies to come in before 11.
Yo, but you know,
and that would be the fee.
I don't know if we should admit this, but it would be mad funny when we did the whole ladies free till 11 and opened the doors till 10:55. Slow it down, slow it down.
It's just the business.
Nah,
That's what it is.
sometimes we helped it, but go ahead, continue.
So getting back into that,
We still won't admit it. To the grave.
basically one night this girl came in and she didn't want to pay, and there's always going to be people like that, and you know, it was my job to make sure she paid. And I looked at AJ, he looked at me, he was standing right by the register, and he did something that I never thought was going to happen. And I was young at the time. I mean, I was what, maybe 15, 16 years old.
If even.
And AJ looked at her and said, you want to get it for free? You don't want to pay? And with the straightest face in the world said, give him a kiss on the lips. This girl looked at AJ, looked at me, looked at AJ, and when she went to go look at me again, the next time I saw her eyes right here because she smacked me right on the lips. And I'm not talking about a little pet kiss.
And this was before Juvederm, by the way, so they were
Oh
regular.
man, this
What's
was, yes.
Juvederm? What is
The
that?
lip
The lip
fillers.
injections.
How do you know what that is?
Bro, I'm educated. I'm fucking well-rounded.
He dates.
He's a French traveler.
He's on
around the
TikTok a
He
lot.
dates.
I'm on TikTok a lot.
world. So long story short, that was kind of like my first taste of the club business, and you know, I kind of
Literally.
it was very
Yeah,
unorthodox.
literally the first thing.
Literally
Yo,
my first
Nick,
taste.
let me ask you, was she at least good looking?
Honestly, I don't really remember, but I know AJ wouldn't have let somebody kiss me that was ugly.
Absolutely
so
not.
there's an AJ.
Was it Yana?
No, I thought it was Yana. It was something else. Anyway.
We're name dropping tonight.
The whole thing with me was, like, if we fast forward a little bit and how I really got into promoting, because that was my initial appearance, was one day when we were doing the club, actually, fast forward to Noah, one of our parties that we did. If anybody's listened to this podcast remembers the crazy club nights we had at Noah. I mean, we had celebrities performing there, and all of these big rappers at the time. And that's when I just met Sabino for one of the first couple of parties that we were working at. And everybody that's walking into the club is always saying hello to me. And Sabino was asking me, Nick, how do you know these people? Because you did the register at other parties, or you know, you're just friends with them. And I just said they were all my friends. And every single
In the
person that came in-
neighborhood, like
every single person that came
from
in.
going to St. Francis and hanging out in the park.
Because I didn't realize back then that the biggest part of promoting was networking. And the biggest part of life. I mean, anybody listening to this can attest that networking is everything.
Right.
Digital marketing too. Like this is when Facebook events were huge.
This was like getting into that era. So just being my natural self and just being always around AJ and Phil, I didn't realize I was a promoter long before I even started to promote, because I was building that network. I was building that network of people around me. And at that day, at the party at Noah, Sabino said, why aren't you a promoter? You know everybody here, you have all of them coming, and you're literally not getting paid for these people. So the real story was Sabino forced me to promote. And he said to me, I know you can get 20 people here for next Saturday, and if you do, then you continue promoting. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. And the rest is history. I remember.
Well,
being
I
that first
basically
night.
told him, like, you know, back then you were making like a salary like $75 to do the register. I was like, why not make the extra 100 while you're here? You know?
So let's decode success a little bit. Amazon, biggest retailer in the whole world, right? They really don't own any inventory. Maybe they own a little bit of inventory, but they really don't own any inventory. Uber is the biggest car service in the world. They don't own any cars. The whole point was for me and Phil not to know everybody that came in the club. As a matter of fact, if we did, that would be a huge problem, right? The whole point was for guys like Nicky, guys like Steve, guys like Matt, guys like Sabino. You guys know the people. You guys are the face of this whole thing. We're just going to make sure the ship runs straight. We're going to steer it. You guys are the life of the party.
This is the part that's funny is because I was like into my like 23, 24, still promoting, you know?
Yeah.
And you guys are a couple years older than me, so
Yeah.
it just goes to show at that point you just run the machine. It's like almost franchising like a Burger King and you know,
Right.
hiring a guy on the
Yeah.
grill
And
and
let me
hiring
tell
a
you,
guy for fries.
running the machine ain't so easy.
No.
But you do what you got to do. You make a lot of mistakes. You learn a lot from your mistakes. And as long as you are a better person, see, this goes further and deeper than just what we did. It's what we're still doing. Because I know I still take everything
I
did
think we
back
got
then
to
with me
explain
today.
a little bit about what kind of events we were throwing
Let's do
because
it.
like I don't think like people really have the visual of what we were doing, but we were getting like
Yeah.
1,000 kids in the 5 boroughs, Long Island and Westchester,
Really, the tri-state
Jersey,
area.
the tri-state
Dallas,
area.
area.
Connecticut,
1,000.
Jersey, everybody.
Okay, one second. Yeah, I mean, just to paint the picture, a nightclub is anywhere from $1 million to a $5 million investment. So somebody's life savings went into this club. And they're doing it for money, they're doing it for fun, popularity, all that. So if someone put $1 to $5 million into a club, and they see AJ and I going, asking for a deal, and a deal meaning we want to do every Friday night, consistently, every Saturday, or one-off holiday events. And at the time, he's 18, I'm 17, I look like I'm 14, and you have this kid walk into your place and say, hey, I'm going to take your Saturday night, your grand night. Plus at the time, we were doing college events. So what does that mean? That means higher profile risk. That means could be, you know, some drinks being passed around and whatnot. So just picture that for a second. So in order to get, you know, that person to commit to you, and then we were doing at our height about 5 to 7 events a week. I mean, just to get
5 to
someone
7 events a week?
in
Per week?
Over the
Yeah,
summertime.
Tuesdays,
Yeah,
Wednesdays,
we had-
Thursdays,
we
Fridays.
had just about every night.
Just Monday
We
to
didn't really
Thursday
sleep.
off.
We didn't really sleep. So just to get an owner to say yes to you for that, and then in the beginning, they're honestly a lot of the times they didn't say yes because you're the best underneath the sun. They said yes because they were desperate, and it was our job to turn desperation into making money. That's one thing that we did in this business. We excelled at it. We could go into a spot and we could turn it around from, you know, the red into the black. That applies to life.
I'm going to give a case in point. And this is a story that I'll probably be telling my grandkids, and they'll look at me like I'm crazy, but I believe it's one of the instances that made me the man I am today. That was one of our very first venues. We took a place that was extremely far from where we lived, where we didn't really know a ton of people that lived in the immediate area. But we said, you know what, we're going to do it. It's a big room. Phil and I were really young. This was one of our first big projects.
What room?
This club out in Brooklyn. Far out in Brooklyn too. Not anywhere like you guys said, we're Queens kids. It was far out in Brooklyn.
Bay Ridge.
Bay Ridge. And I tell you what, looking back on it now, we were in overrides. We didn't really have the resources to do what we needed to do, but we did have one thing, and that was an incredible will not to fail. Going into the first night, and when I tell you this was a big room, I mean this was a big room. We had a lot of money invested.
2000.
It was the size of like a high school gym.
This
It
one
was.
also had this separated with the hip hop.
Yep, we had 2 rooms,
Oh yeah.
and there was
Yeah, I
a
didn't
lot
like
of
the
pressure.
hip hop room in this place though.
There was a lot of pressure
It
not
was
to
sloppy.
fail. And I'll tell you what.
Yo, and shout out to you guys because there's a lot of people that are in this industry that's their backyard and they don't want to touch that room.
Yep.
But you guys are 12 miles away taking that, you know?
Yep, we were far, it wasn't close. And leading up to the first night, we knew that we had created a good amount of buzz. We did things that were necessary. We booked a DJ that was on the radio. We
Hired
tried-
all the bartenders from that area.
We tried to get the best looking girls to bartend and a couple of good looking guys to bartend and get some bottle service going on. But still going into the first night, we really didn't know what was going to happen. And we were pretty scared. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said we were confident we knew we had this. And then this was a Friday night party. On Thursday, we looked at the weather, and the prediction was it was going to be torrential downpour on Friday night. And the weather was going to be terrible. Stay home, don't go out. It was almost like the weatherman, Al Roker, was promoting against us. he was out to get us because all he wanted to do
That
was...
bastard!
Fucking now.
All he wanted to do was tell people to stay home that night. And leading up to the party, we were driving there. Philly went over the Williamsburg Bridge because he was so nervous. He got stayed to the right on the
True
BQE.
story. Into the city I went.
He drove into the city.
Little detour.
I wasn't far behind him, and my windshield wipers were on high. I think there's no way anyone's coming up to this club tonight. We are going to lose thousands of dollars. We're going to look like idiots. There won't be a second party. It'll be grand opening, grand closing. But you know what? What are you going to do at that point? You're going to stick it out. You started something, you got to see it through. You got to finish it. You got to tough it out. You got to take it on the chin. If that's what is demanded of you, you got to be a man.
You know, not to cut you off, but sometimes in life you gotta lose money
Yeah.
to learn.
This was gonna be one of those times.
Yeah, exactly.
We were going to lose more money than we had.
Yeah.
Because Phil and I, we don't come from much.
You
know?
take the credit from the owner, you know?
Yeah,
like-
exactly. We were going to have to go to the owner with our tail between our legs and apologize for flopping. Doors opened at 10:30, and at about 10:15, there were a couple of people outside, nowhere near enough to cover what our budget was. And by 11 o'clock, we had to go to at the end of a line that had about 600 people on it and hold umbrella over girls to stop their makeup from running down their face. When the night was over, we did 1,400 people plus. We had to have people stand outside and wait for other people to exit to let them back into the room. It was an unbelievable success. We didn't know what was going to happen. All we did was keep our head down and keep it moving. And it worked. It succeeded. And I still have the video of Philly standing out there with the umbrella over his head, because it was pouring.
Yeah.
Our Roga wasn't wrong, it was pouring. And all we could do was it was 2 things. Thank God, because man, were we lucky that we pulled it off. But also, we learned to believe in ourselves that night. We learned that a little bit of rain can't upend the willpower of a couple of guys when they really want to do their thing and get busy. And that's what we did. That night gave us the confidence to That night gave us the confidence to deal with one of the worst tragedies we ever had in business, which I'm going to let Philly talk about, which was a night we had a couple of, one really big rapper booked for a party in Queens, and that rapper decided to tell everybody on his Twitter that he wasn't coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And just take away a couple of gems from that. AJ's talking about faith. Anything we do, we have to have faith. Like, you can't see the end result, you just have to know and believe that you're going to get there, no matter what. We had to build a promotional team around that room, and we didn't have the people in the beginning. We had to figure out how to piece them together.
How many times have we down and out, and these guys at the table with us right now picked us up and said, no, we're going to...
Absolutely. Like this.
That was one of my first tenured parties with you guys. I promoted with another set of people out in Long Island, and I met Sabino at St. Francis College, and...
Sabino went to college?
I went like 3 times.
He was there, but it wasn't a long time. But I met Sabino there, and we were, I had a free period and whatnot, and he saw the connections that I had within different groups of people, and I think the first
You were
party,
promoting already at that time? Yeah, right?
that was in Long Island,
Oh, yeah.
and then you hit me up, and there was, you were talking to me about a party that you guys were doing in Astoria. So that's when we first linked up about
Oh,
that.
you're talking about on Steinway, the Thursday night party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, Sabino, there's many times Sabino put this whole thing on his back. He really did. He put the whole thing on his back.
So
But
that's
the
where it
craziest
started.
part was when, I think the best run of all of us here together was in my neighborhood.
Yeah, it was.
In Greenpoint. Well, Greenpoint's not my neighborhood, my
Yes,
touchy
it
neighborhood.
is. Yes, it
I'm
is.
Williamsburg.
Listen, we already went over this.
On
You're
record.
a Brooklyn guy. You're
Yeah.
a Brooklyn guy.
I
okay?
forgot to mention the next one, the
Which
the
one?
big night that AJ he teed it up for me on. So we just hit that real quick. Is
This was the low of the low.
yeah, talk about a story of like overcoming. So Sabino was with us for this party. I wasn't sure if I'm not sure if Matt and Steve were yet, but we were gonna throw an event. It was a Wednesday night. You guys with us for Fabulous?
Yeah, we were.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Well, there's so many events I forget.
Well,
So-
this
No, but
one-
were we already doing that party, or that was a...
That was a warm-off. That was
No, but
just...
were we already in the regular Saturday spot?
Yeah, we were.
Yes,
we were already there.
Imperial at that
We
point.
were established.
We were already
rocking
there.
and rolling.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
just
yeah,
decided
it's
to...
It's not like we just randomly did a one-off with that.
No, you're right.
Yeah, we decided to just take a random Wednesday night in the summertime and book a pretty big artist that we really had no direct contact with. We were booking them through an agent.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, as you're building your momentum in this industry, you start connecting with the right people, talent agents, and I got the opportunity to book a big rapper. It was fabulous. And what happened was I got the deal of a lifetime. So I said, yo, I got this guy. Let's make a party around him. So we got the venue.
Who, by the way, at the time was probably everybody's favorite.
He
This
was-
was the summer
he was
of
hot. He was
This was the
hot.
summer of 2011.
And
Yeah,
any popular Fabulous song that you could think of, that was the
That's
stuff
when
that
his
was
album.
coming out
That's
right
when
now.
his album was out. His big album, of course.
Absolutely.
Girl, you be killing them.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
what we killing was what you're saying to your girlfriend right before it was about to really go down.
Oh, your feet are killing you? I call it suicide.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
think it sounded exactly
What-
like that.
Nah,
but it was close. It was close.
it
What's crazy was
Wasn't as
then
good.
someone told me, someone I was close to, was like, yeah, I know Fabulous's manager. And I was like, yeah, I booked him. Then they're like, yo, he's not going that night. And I told Phil, and Phil's like, no way. Then like, as it got closer, we were like, I guess you started looking into it.
Yeah, so basically I laid out the deposit. I'm not going to mention the amount, but it was a lot of money.
Substantial amount.
Substantial amount
For a
of money.
couple like 19-year-olds, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
No, for real. So I lay out the money, and the lady who I went through, basically, long story short, I did my homework on her. She was affiliated with a couple of really big names. She was affiliated with Maybach Music, and she had a lot of artists underneath her wing at that time.
She actually was like handling a lot of French Montana's bookings
Exactly.
at that
I
time.
think she also had a little crush on Phil. Just saying.
She might have. She's also another thing with business, you can't always believe like just by looking. She was driving a great Ferrari. This thing was probably like 200,000 plus, and she has hooks with literally everyone. So I felt comfortable enough that I gave her a substantial amount of money. We do what we do best. We're promoting this party, and
We probably had like 700 pre-sold tickets.
The
Yeah.
the buzz was ridiculous for that. Like we couldn't, we put out what the party was going to be, and it wasn't even about promoting anymore. It was about the intake of.
And it's about a few days before the event, and I just remember just seeing that I'm not getting responses from this agent as I should be. And I also asked, whenever you book an artist, you ask for a promo video. Hey, this is fabulous. I'm gonna be at Noah Wednesday night, and I keep getting the curve, like she's curving my text, and I'm not getting it. So I start to feel like just something's up. And basically, long story short, we find out that a day before the event that he's not coming, like literally 24 hours before. I remember I called up AJ, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I said, this is what's going on, what do we do? And
Do we refund everybody the money, basically? That was the dilemma.
Which, if you're running an event, any event, I don't care what it is, the words refunding money is a nightmare.
But let's also just point.
Or it's a no-no too.
Oh yeah.
The thing I wanted to point out while the story's going on is we all had like credibility on the line. You know, we threw parties, we did this.
And that was worth more than the money. Was the
A
credibility.
refund was not acceptable because we had credibility. We literally went out of our way to sell these tickets, and so we had to do something about it. And I fully think that this was the greatest save in promotional history. So let Phil get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying to AJ, like, our brand, our momentum, and this applies to business, is like, the trajectory was crazy. We can't have this hiccup, because this hiccup will impair everyone's judgment of
cost
us
your whole-
going forward. Yeah, like, don't go to one of their events. I call them up, it's like 11 o'clock, I tell them this.
I remembered I was eating pizza and I actually put the pizza down and didn't finish the slice. That's how upset I was.
Yeah, and actually, I go the next morning, I pick him up, we're actually gonna drive my dad to work in the city. I really don't have much money at this point. I'm like 24.
He only has his baptism and his fucking
Communion money, they go to sleep with
at
that
that
night.
point. And his confirmation.
I'm sorry, Phil, I told everybody.
Nah, it's cool. So, I actually, the night before, I booked someone who we had booked a couple of times, and it was Lloyd Banks. And everyone loved him, but I knew that just booking him wasn't gonna be enough. So I got on the phone with
Red
AJ,
Cafe, too.
and yeah, we're gonna book Red Cafe.
This is when he was really hot, by the
And
way.
Red Cafe was hot, but this talent agent, as if she already didn't hook me enough with the whole fabulous thing, she said, listen, the only way that you can have Red Cafe there is if you also pay for a guy
Waka Flocka.
well, first French Montana.
No, it was Waka Flocka, and then and you booked French Montana, and then Waka Flocka. I'll never forget. We were outside waiting for him to roll up, and he's like, "You want me to perform too?" And we're like, "Well, we really have no money right now." And I think one of us went in our pockets. We were like, "I got $200." Like, that's good.
100%.
And he
yeah.
said do one song for the 200.
Yeah,
Sabino,
but that's
thank God Sabino went in his left pocket where there was $200 because if he went in the right one, Waka Flocka would have taken it for a couple of grand.
But I'll never forget. I mean, listen, you say Waka Flocka now, and everybody's like, "Who the hell is that?" But he was hot at this time.
I think people know Waka
I still
Flocka
think
more.
He was
now.
hot, and Waka Flocka was bigger at French than his time.
Yeah.
French probably had.
French
French didn't even have Shot Caller out yet.
And
one
He just had
song.
Chop It Down.
Yeah.
Like, he just had that one remix.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything.
But when all was said and done, we lost Fabulous, but we made up for Fabulous with Waka Flocka, Red Cafe, Lloyd Banks, and French Montana. Now, if I gave you that,
That budget was like 15
2020,
grand.
Yeah, right. If I gave you that in
Whoa.
2020, we
Whoa.
sell down Madison Square Garden.
Literally.
We put that together in a little hole in
That's
the
Summer
wall
Jam.
in Queens.
That's
And
so
one thing I
true.
wanted to add to that was, a lot of people don't know this, but when French Montana came, at the time, he brought us a young, up-and-coming artist with him.
With Chink's
And
Drugs.
people never knew who that was, and literally, Chink's Drugs was one of the first performers.
That's true.
One of the first performances was at our party.
That's true.
And it just goes to show you, for everybody listening here, it's not about what happens in life, it's about how you change,
How you
how
deal with
you're
it.
able to deal with it.
How you respond.
And I honestly feel that the biggest thing that I've learned from all these gentlemen at this table, one is my brother, one is somebody I've known forever, and the other three are my friends.
You're talking about me as your brother, right? You know him forever?
Of course. He's the only one I've seen my brother.
thought
But really,
You two are probably closer, though.
we are, and AJ's always been there for me. But the thing that I've learned, and I want to thank all of you, seriously, the thing I want to thank all of you for teaching, not just myself, but I think showing each other, is the power of perseverance. Because there was times when I didn't have anybody coming on a Saturday night, and I needed that kick in the ass. And Steve and Matt were killing it, and they had tables booked, and I'm literally feeling like down upon myself, and Sabino would pick me up, and AJ would pick me up, and even Matt and Steve would, how can we help you? And we were literally always working with each other.
Everybody but Phil.
So it was, you work in some businesses and people are working against each other inside of the business, but we all had our own little thing going on, but we were always willing to help each other. And I really was able to see, like, this is a family. This isn't some business where we want to, work against each other.
Yo, I got a question for Maddie 1B. So
That's the drop.
I could talk forever and ever about the fucking events and all this shit, but I want to hear about my two favorite places of all time, which would be Imperial and Stereo. I want to hear about
That's
it.
where you got your wife, though, right? Pass me the wine.
That's where I got my wife.
That is where you got your wife, yeah.
I want to hear about these things from you guys. I don't even want to hear the Italy talk about these places.
Yeah, no.
I want to hear about it straight from you guys.
Let's go into how we how we met them, how they got into
That's
it.
important.
I want to kick that off. So
Yeah.
First of all, you need to still tell us why you got into nightlife. You didn't even get there.
Yes.
I got into nightlife because I just felt like I had so many connections, and where I'm a high school athlete and a lot of my time was dedicated to playing football and basketball, that this was something easy where not only can I go out and party for free, but I can also go out and make money. I can meet people, I can make friends, I can meet girls, and that's what it was to me. So I had started out in a club in Long Island called Dublin's, which isn't there anymore. I believe the building is actually totally knocked down
Oh, is
at
it?
this point. Yeah.
Did they name it at all?
I'm not even sure. But
I think they sell like plants now.
it might be like a garden world or something.
There's no nightclubs now in New York like that. So like,
It's different.
a lot of people that are listening to this probably don't understand like what the hell we're even talking about. But like, there was clubs everywhere in New York at this time, But go ahead.
So this one was on Jericho Turnpike, and I would just tell everybody I know, like, hey, if you want to come out, there's a 18 and over party, and we have good DJs. You can meet cute girls, or for girls, there's cute guys, whatever. You got there, the wine was always wrapped around, and people came out and they had a good time. So I'll never live it down, but Stevie Pell's at the door. That was the guest list name. So
If you want the name double, that's what you said.
So started to gain traction, and I was doing well there, and then I was approached. I guess because of my connection with Sabino through college, that after we did a couple parties, that both Phil and AJ had said, like, we want to talk to you and Matt, because at this point I said the connection between me and Matt is tremendous. The amount of people that are between both of our networks, we would kill it.
You had a lot of like, the thing about promoting back in the day too is like, it's all about reinforcing. So like, the same person getting hit with the invitation 3 times.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're going.
So we both went to different high schools. I'm a year older, so we had many people in common, but we were also, plenty different people, like a Venn diagram. We got the people in the middle that we both know. And then you got the people on the other sides where only Matt knew, only I knew. And together we own that entirely, because even though it was my name at the door, Matt was saying, use this guest list. This is my boy Steve, and we're cutting that right down the middle.
Matt was smart. He had somebody to blame it on if shit went wrong.
It was
Leverage.
it was 50-50. Never had a problem with that.
Steve.
And no, but even look at it both ways. I could take the blame, but then also Matt's not getting the clout. It's not his name. No one looked at it as either or is a bad thing.
Yep.
And that's why we were like literally great. And to share a guest list, a lot could probably go south, but we've never hit a bump, a hiccup, anything. We remember driving around, and at that point when we had a lot of Long Island people in our clientele, we were driving to Long Island multiple times a week to sell tickets to the big events, the Halloween events, one-off events, the regular Saturday, and we're bumping Lil Wayne, No Ceilings mixtape, feeling like we're a boss with a couple grand in our pocket. We had a manila envelope, and we're sitting there. We got tickets, we got cash, like it was great. But to get back into how we became a family with all of you guys was apparently Phil and AJ saw, kids from their neighborhood. They're from Glendale, I'm from Middle Village, Matt's from Maspeth. They saw the value in us to be partners within this company that they were running. They wanted us on their team. So I remember specifically them saying, we want to, meet you guys, talk about what we can do. We know that you're with other people already doing this, but we have a great opportunity for you guys. So we met at a local Dunkin' Donuts by our house, and
Right there on Woodhaven.
Wow,
by
they
the
spent
way.
a lot of money prospecting you guys, huh?
Yo,
Took you to a
They got-
fancy
I got a
steakhouse?
water bottle for free. Sabino paid for the water bottle.
There
I'll
you
never
go.
forget it.
They got me
Phil
nice
didn't want to
coffee.
reach in his pocket, but
Yeah.
Sabino did.
Phil wanted you to buy
Like-
coffee.
like I-
Phil reached in his pocket another way with the paycheck, so.
Hey,
Like I said earlier,
hey.
there were times
You know what I'm saying?
carried the
You know what I'm
stick.
saying?
And that's
No,
and that's
Sabino
how
definitely
that's how
carries
we
There you go.
started
Yeah.
with them. Sabino was the initial contact with myself through college, and then I did F1 with you guys, and the main thing was Imperial. That was our Brooklyn party. That's what I would say really took off. And
Yeah, at this point, Sabino, his family, Nick, his family, and you guys made a name for yourselves. We knew that it would be a win-win, by having you with us, and we wanted to bring you guys in on an upper level with us, so this way it would be one bigger family. So we could even talk about that night, like when we met. So Sabino was pretty much like a scout. We had heard of you, and we knew that we could make Imperial and our other events even bigger by having you guys with us. And also, we're all about longevity. We didn't talk about that too much, but like most promoters have a 3-month run, 6-month run. We had runs that went 3-4 years. So
We sacrificed a lot for that too.
Literally.
yeah, I mean,
A lot of
I think
sacrifice,
it's
a lot of
time to
short-term
take a
gains.
little segue into like what we got out of all this and like our lives today and like.
even Matt, for you to you to share your experience with it.
Oh yeah, you didn't really talk
No,
about
I
it.
did.
Well, he shared
Like,
his experience about getting into the business, but in terms of AJ wanted to hear their perspective on Imperial and just the clubs in general.
I mean, Imperial to start. Personally, I was still very young at that point. Nick, obviously, we're the same age, but like for me, that was just like still very wild mode. Like that was me, freshman in college, not even a sophomore in college yet. So when you're in that stage of your life, it's like, hey, let's stand on top of the bar and spray champagne.
Imperial was for you what DNA
course.
was for us.
Right.
That's what
right.
That's what we
Yeah.
wanted.
also too, I think a very valid point for all of us at this table was none of us went away to college. We were all homegrown kids.
Right.
Good
And,
point.
and this club life was our college life
Yeah,
for
that's
the
right.
most part. Where
That's a great point.
you're saying you were going to college bars,
Frat
and college
parties.
exactly.
This was our fraternity. Like,
This-
we created our own
That's
This
fraternity.
really what
is
it
a
was.
fucking fraternity.
Yeah, we were.
Which for the first
we are.
time is what we're understanding
We
this
formed the
as.
brotherhood out of it. It
Yeah.
literally is a fraternity when you think about
And
it.
we fucking hazed each other, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah.
We fucking hazed each other.
We used to put bangs over Matt's
Yeah,
head.
sure.
Oh my god.
Anyway, going back to Matt's wild days, back then, if you saw a picture on Facebook and Matt didn't at least have 2 bottles of Grey Goose in his hand, then you know it wasn't really a Matt's
I
fault.
think
Yo, is that really?
Movie.
Yeah, it was a movie.
That
Any
was
movie.
stereo though. That was stereo.
Any
No?
movie.
I think that was stereo.
Stereo was movie, but Imperial you always had the
Yeah,
Goose.
so I'll never forget though. There's like one picture out there of Steve and Matt like posing a 200 milliliter bottle of Georgie and like
No,
kissing
no,
it.
that was never me. That was Sambuca that we fucking had.
No, but there's a picture out there of you guys like holding a Georgie.
I never drink Georgie in my life, bro. I'm tight as I am.
That would
was
be a,
Steve.
That would
every
be
time.
that would be a pregame.
You never drank
for
Georgie.
me.
Yeah, see?
There's been plenty of times I gave you Grey Goose and it was really Georgie.
I remember getting the $5 the 375.
Yeah, well that's a pint.
A pint, a pint of Georgie and the $3 or $4 Red Bull, and that was my pregame. I wouldn't even mix it. I would just take a swig of one, swig of other.
Terrible decision.
I got to the club and I was good. I probably bought a couple drinks, but I probably didn't need those couple.
So if you're looking to make money as a nightclub bar, Stevie is not the kind of client.
He's not the person to bring about.
Another gem that you're hearing throughout this is that just like in life, if you really want to go the distance in what you're doing and be really successful, you have to love what you do. And all 6 of us loved what we did. Like, it wasn't work for me on Saturday. My friends all had girlfriends. Who's going to this event? Who's going here? Oh, Phil, it must really stink that you can't make it. Actually, it didn't. I loved it. I loved being with you guys. Like, what's better than being with you guys, making money, and making experiences?
You just hit on what my favorite part of the whole thing was, the whole run. Is as I got older and I developed more friends that came from better backgrounds, or had more money, whatever it was, they always looked at from the outside at what I did and they saw it as, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Get a job. And I love that. Get a job.
Absolutely.
Not only was this a job.
You know, I'll never
this was a
forget,
fun job.
like, you know, I come from a family and my dad owns a business, and like, when I was doing it, he's like, why you do this stupid shit? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, and I'll never forget, like, you know,
He understood it.
once he saw, like, I think one day he came in my room and I had my ex-girlfriend sleeping over after a party, and I just had like fucking 4 bands like on my nightstand.
I know that night. You had bands on your nightstand, you had buckets next to the bed.
So let's not forget, this was also the same father that realized once it was that you've had your I would say your mother and your father both at different times
Yeah,
at the
come to-
parties that we were running.
That's what I was
And they
gonna
had a great time.
Those
And
people that-
I know us specifically in this group right here were like leaps and bounds excited to even see your parents
Yeah.
there, because they got to experience
Or
what we got to, and we know how
what
much
a
fun
time
we
my
had.
dad bought the burner to the club to save
Pick
us.
us up. Yep.
Or every time he opened the panini shop after one of our parties to fucking feed us.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah,
couple
just
of
start
times.
making
Not many
something like
times.
that. I mean,
Not
what a
many
guy.
times. Not
What a
many
guy.
times.
No.
There was some
Bro, there was
the
many
Parma
times.
coming out.
Not many times with Sabino. When Sabino went to sleep, then me.
Yeah,
you,
Sabino went to sleep often after
would
that.
make
I
us
don't know
all
why, but we were just chilling.
I just
at
wanted to
his
go
house.
home and count my money. I was like,
There
leave
you
me
go.
alone.
Now, but those same
Instead
people
of
that
counting
were,
sheep.
that were the whole get a job type, and I told them, just come once, come see what I do.
But
with
look-
my life.
look, like, I
And
just
they did,
wanna-
and they got it.
That really helped me though, like running my business nowadays. Even with growing up Italian, like, you know, there's a lot of digital marketing stuff that we were doing before
Way ahead of
everybody else was doing, you
Way
know?
ahead.
So like, I kind of turned that into my business. Like after that, I was like, the same way I could get people to go to a club is the same way I could get people to come eat a sandwich, you know?
Sabino realized that there's 2 P's that are going to get a lot of attention on social media. One is pussy, one is panini.
And I love eating both of them.
And he loves them both.
Hey!
So let's talk about this. What AJ brought up, and this is one thing that I mentioned before the show, is like we all embodied a sense of not giving a fuckness when it came down to what people were saying about us, right? So for anyone that's tuned into this right now in regards to whatever it is they're dealing with in life, what do you feel like takes place or has to happen for them to embody what we did? Because not for nothing, when you're in a closed environment, when you're in the barbershop and people are like, yo, why the fuck are you doing this? Or, you know, when you're in high school still or in college and they're fucking ragging on you for what you're doing, you're in the gym and they're ragging on you. What do you guys feel like goes into that?
So I'd like to kick it off. Basically, one thing that I learned from this experience, just being with you guys, working with people, and it's a blessing to be able to make money with your friends, but to have a great relationship with your business partners and your friends is even better. And I think one thing we were all really good at was seeing the end goal. Because, you know, somebody make fun of us all the time. Why do you guys promote? What do you do this for? You annoy people with Facebook messages. You annoy people with event invites.
Stop sending me group.
We've heard it all. Between the 6 of us here, we've heard everything under the sun. But, you know, somebody says something to you and you could let it bother you or you could not. And I really think what pushed us and what pushed me definitely was seeing that end goal. Like AJ was saying before, like Phil, and like so many of us here, seeing that nightclub packed, seeing people who literally got together as 2 single people and now they're able to become a married family and they're able to, you know, have kids. And just seeing that end goal of basically the nightclub being packed and everybody having a great time, it didn't matter what people said. If somebody turned around and they were able to say, why are you promoting, why are you guys doing this? We knew what it was about. It wasn't about making money, it was about having fun, having a good time. So whatever industry you're in, whatever business you're in, if you apply that same mentality of just seeing the end goal, you know, you want to do something and you see the end goal and you see what makes you happy, why does it matter what people say along the way? You just use that as your motivation, your inspiration, and keep pushing and striving for success.
Right.
That's huge. Couple things. How someone views you from the external is a lot different than how you view it. If that's what lights you up, like clubs, like it lit me up, man. Like there's many nights. Let's just put this out there on the record. There's no set salaries. There's no I'm gonna go to work tonight and get paid. There's some nights we took it on the chin. There's some nights we didn't make money. Sure, there's some nights we did very well. But if I kept paying attention to everyone on the external, and a lot of my friends, pushed me down about it. Why are you doing this? Now I'm 25, I'm still doing it. Like, oh, aren't you getting a little old for this? They don't see what you see, and with your business or your idea, they may not see what you see. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be tremendous or it doesn't light you up. Because if you just stick to what everybody else likes, you really won't go far at all. You're gonna stay right in the same tracks, like all the time. Mm-hmm. So for me, it lit me up to the point where even when I had that chatter, it didn't matter. Like I was doing something that I loved. That was a big thing for me.
No, I respect it.
I had a good time when we were doing Imperial/Stereo. I was in college. I was managing a liquor store. I was a full-time student taking 18 to 20 credits a semester, and I made my schedule where I worked Friday and Saturday from open till close because I wanted to be able to go to school during the week without having to worry about certain things.
Or because your boss would beat you up.
That could, but because I had a strict boss and he was a powerful guy.
Yeah.
And,
Shout out Steph.
I worked 10 or 11 hours on Saturday, but there was never an issue of me being unmotivated after working that shift to go out to our party.
You looked forward to it.
I was, waking up
never
at 10, getting to my job by 11, working the whole day, and then getting out at 10, and then our party was about to kick off. Then I would run home, I would shower, I would put on a little cologne, I would hit up Matt, what's the moves, how we getting there, are we pre-gaming this, that, and the next thing we were there, and then I was out till maybe 3, 4 if we went to the diner.
5,
6,
7.
Sun prosciutto, 8.
Yeah,
Plenty of time.
sun was rising, I was going to bed, but there was never a time where I ever questioned, this is crazy, because you only think something's crazy if you want to. If crazy is normal to you, it's normal. So to me, maybe someone looked at that externally, like we mentioned, and then said, this kid's doing something that's, not the norm. But for me and our little family here, that was normal. So
that's the word right there.
That was,
You got a sense of satisfaction that nobody else can
I'll
understand.
tell you what,
Exactly.
there could be 100 people standing outside my door saying nothing or saying anything they wanted, but it didn't matter because to me, the only people whose opinions really counted were the 5 other guys sitting at this table, and there's one really hot bartender that I ended up marrying.
And had 2 kids with.
And had 2 kids with, yeah. Talk about the Ferrari later. But those were the only things that matter. Anybody else can say whatever the fuck they want because what Philly said was 100% true. Like seeing the long term of it. For me, it was always about getting the most juice out of the squeeze. This is not like the nightclub part of it was just one small chapter. That was just like the first few pages of the book. I'm looking at it like, what are we going to be doing? 30 years from now, we're all wrinkly and shit, playing golf on an island somewhere on a guy's vacation. For me, that's what the end game was. It was never money. It was never any of that. It was never notoriety or fame or anything like that. I couldn't give a fuck about any of that. I care about my boys, who are my family. Like I said, my wife, and now my kids, and providing for them. That's the only thing I give a fuck about. Anybody else can say whatever the fuck they want. I gotta provide. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna have a little bit of fun while I do it.
So what do you guys feel like is the main thing you've taken away from all of this that you're still applying to your life today? Like obviously we've done a lot of shit, right? We've done a shit ton of events and things of that nature. So what do you guys feel like is something that's still popping up in your life today that's applicable from what you learned back then?
So I have two things. One, I actually got into digital marketing because of promoting. When we were doing promoting back in the day and I was working for them doing the register, they had asked me to take care of the marketing aspect. So that was the Facebook events and the groups and pretty much everything. And we had a team of literally 50 to 100 people and I was controlling their social profiles at one time. Now Phil and I have Mascia Media, we have our digital marketing agency. So it's so funny to see how something back then that I just kind of was thrown into the fire, thrown into the mix, I decided to make a full-time career out of it as an entrepreneur. And really that showed me that you can do whatever you want, but don't always be set on where you expect to go in life. Just kind of let life take you where you need to be sometimes. The greatest opportunities come when you least expect it. And the second thing was, I think to show everybody here that we didn't really know what we were capable of before we set out to it. You guys didn't know if you were going to be successful with that party in Brooklyn. You had 1,400 people. So if you look at this story as, what would happen if 6 guys got together, promoted their asses off, and gave everybody the most memorable experience possible? We did, and look what happened because of it. So it's really just showing you don't always be set up to go forward in life with a set plan. Have a little, opportunity open, because you never know what's going to come your way. And I think that methodology behind all of it kind of showed us this is where we all needed to be, because I believe this exact spot is where we were all meant to be. We just didn't know it back then. We had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go this way, so Phil will go next.
Yeah, I mean, to say one thing is tough. The biggest thing to me is resiliency. Just always,
Big word right
always,
there,
always.
resilience.
Like, we were always down, if we were down, but never out. I mean, like, so many countless stories of us just making it work. That Noah story, I put my whole entire life savings on the line for that party. Didn't even think for a second I could lose it all. It didn't matter. This is what Phil built, his team built. This is, you have to make this work. Resiliency. Other thing is so many things. Like, we are all running businesses or high up in positions in corporate life because of what we learned from this. I learned sales. I learned persuasion. I learned marketing, advertising. I learned psychology of human beings. Guess what? A kid gets a bottle and he's not happy, gets to a fight. Okay, how do you deal with that? You're just gonna crack him or yell at him, or you're gonna deal with it like a human being? Someone didn't make the guest list in time, so they have to pay $5 more. Okay, are you gonna yell at the girl and say something stupid, or are you gonna deal with it like a gentleman? How to talk to somebody who's older than you and have them respect you. I had owners that were 60 years old looking at me. I'm 17, like, who the F is this guy? And having to speak to him in a way where he earns respect from you. The biggest thing is how to deal with team members, how to make
Keep
everybody
everyone motivated.
Yeah, and everyone aligned. Like I said this once, I think on a previous podcast, like, your dream when you're building a business has to be so big that the people that you put inside of it, their dreams fit inside of it and still have so much room to grow. Like, promoting, reason why we all liked it too, like, we were never on a chokehold. It was, you can make as much as you want, as much as we grow, and as much as you're willing to work. So it taught me so much. But if I had to do one thing, and I know I just tapped the table again, but resiliency.
I would go with network.
That was gonna be my answer.
I mean, we could definitely have different spins, but for me, it was, being able to reach out to people that were close to you, people that weren't close, strangers hitting you up and making that connection. So for me, I take that as, once I graduated college, I took my first job and I absolutely hated it. But before I took that, I interviewed at multiple places. NBC being the place that just didn't have an opening, but I had a great interview. The director told me, stay in touch and we'll see, if something opens up. So me building off the club industry, it stayed in my mind, like, I should really just, hit this guy up and see if there's anything going on. So I was only at my first job for 6 months before I had reached out and found out that there was an opening, and because everything went great, I actually wound up getting a job at NBC, which at the time was, my dream job. And from there, that blossomed my career, and now I'm at a new company and a new position, and I couldn't be happier. But I think it's based off of what I've been doing from 21 to 24 at the time of my club career, of just being able to be a personable guy and not afraid to talk to people. Jobs in corporate, that I was the one that was walking around and saying hi to people on a daily basis and introducing myself to people that were higher up, and you just don't know how far that will take you by just saying a simple hello or sparking up a conversation with somebody that is, a VP or an SVP and stuff like that. And I had good relationships with those guys, and still I feel like my tenure in my industry in media, still knowing those people and staying active with, talking with them could eventually, still get me into a better place than I am now moving forward.
That's huge.
And your reference came with, to get into NBC, your reference, I got called at 5 a.m. and the NBC guy called me up.
Phil was my
5
reference.
a.m.?
I was in
He was
California.
in California.
So it's 8 a.m. here?
8 a.m. here, and the call, and it was the promotional experience. Cool, it worked, boom. Like,
That's
it's
huge.
all, synchronicity.
That's
It's
correct.
crazy.
Phil was one of my references when I was leaving my first job to go to NBC, and people from HR, they had called Phil at 5 a.m. because he was in
Send
California.
the invoice, bro.
No, I mean, he
I got him a nice bottle of
But
wine.
he,
You're bumping up to a 15-minute little,
he deserved,
a 15-minute charge,
he deserved it, man. Like,
They
that's
called
what it
me. I
is.
said, "Fuck that." I can
Your
go viral.
dad actually drank that bottle of wine, right?
He did.
It's alright, we drank enough this bottle. Sabi, what would you say was the most influential
For me,
thing that
it's
carried
the
you?
same answer, network, but I think in a different way, because like working in the clubs kind of put my business on the map. Because like everybody I'm meeting, I'm like, yeah, I want a sandwich shop right over here. And then from opening one to Mascia, where you guys are from, like it just kind of like gave me a network of people that were spending money then are still spending money with me. You know what I'm saying? Like.
And not for nothing, 3 people here at this table have a sandwich at your shop.
I have a Mascia Brothers sandwich, but just never made it because
And it's not
it's seventh grade.
We're waiting.
Phil's sandwich never made it at Sabino's shop because Phil's like some healthy shit. He probably wants like hummus and dirt on like a fucking holy pita.
Wait.
I knew that was coming.
With honey mustard. With honey mustard.
It's not healthy.
No, honestly, it's a 7-grain panini with grilled chicken, pesto, prosciutto, mozzarella. I have it.
Oh my God.
I have it.
Why does the Mascia Brothers have to be a healthy sandwich? I'm not
Because Phil used to always get 7
Mingy, you're not healthy. We got 3 pies of pizza. You come with a salad.
Well, that's because I'm like 900 pounds now. It's a different story.
Nah.
Keto.
So basically, you're saying that it showed you to take different experiences and you can utilize them for
Just to
not only
show,
your personal-
just to show people who you are. Like it just made me like meet so many people, and like I think Phil told me this once. I'm pretty sure you did, but like the strongest tool you have is your phone. So like just being in contact with people, like saying what's up, like I haven't seen you in a while, like come get a sandwich, you know what I mean?
Goes a long
You know,
way.
like you know that somebody's always bought 3-foot heroes of you off the Super Bowl, but yo, you still ordering for me this year? Like
Right.
giving that customer confidence. Like people feel more comfortable spending money with you when they know you. Like so I gained so many like friends from doing this club stuff and just everybody knowing who I am. So it shaped me to be the person I am today.
And then us even being a family to go with you having your shop, like you said, there's people at this table that have a sandwich, and whenever you guys post it, it's like, hey, the Matt and Steve, like
Which you post more than any other sandwich. by the
Because
way.
it's
It's a #1 fucking bestseller, bro.
Not number one.
By the
It's
way,
top
By
5.
the way, the FDNY, the fire department in New York called. They're pissed because they used to be the #1 sandwich,
Wow,
and now
sorry.
Matt and Steve is the #1 sandwich.
Yo,
But what I want to get to is that like us being a family, we're always reposting, sharing. Hey,
Yeah, hell yeah.
you know
I'm not
when,
reposting shit unless
when-
you post the agent.
when I'm working and I tell
I
people.
haven't seen that posted once.
yeah, you
by
fucking
the way.
forgot about that sandwich.
Nobody wants to play.
Which was
It
ketchup
ain't that
and American
Instagrammable.
cheese. That's why.
Ketchup American cheese is awesome.
I have ordered yours. A few
Yeah, I
times.
love it. Fucking chicken cutlet, was it cheddar
Onion
with
rings and gravy.
Yeah,
Onion
shout
rings
out to
are
American
awesome.
cheese. It's
Innovation right there.
American
No,
cheese.
for me, the biggest thing that I took away from this whole thing that I still use today is I
Wife.
learned. Damn, bro, you called a big square. Fuck you up.
And beat you
And
up.
two
Yo,
kids.
bro, that was Steve Pellegrino, by the way. Just
Two
throwing it
kids.
out there.
No,
Steve Pellegrino exits the chat.
I learned how to read people. I didn't know I was going to learn how to do that, but I did learn how to do that. And, you learned real quick what girl was coming to the club because it was whole life that weekend. She was mad at her boyfriend. She was mad at her dad. Either one. They were both good. You learned what guy was coming in because he wanted to get over his girlfriend. You knew what to do. And you knew exactly what to do with those guys. You knew who to hire. You knew what kid was going to be a great promoter. You knew what girl was going to be a great bottle waitress. You knew what person was going to make a problem in that club, and you better keep them away from somebody else that's going to make a problem in that
You
club.
knew who to sell bottles to.
You knew who to upsell to. You knew who was a drunk spender. You learned real quick if you just had a little bit of observation who was what. And here I am, however many years later, and I still use that every single day. My goal, and I think I got up and said this at one of my meetings, was my goal for this party is for guys and girls that come here not knowing each other to go home and fuck.
He did say that.
I did
He did say
that.
that.
happened a
in
lot.
Front of them, in front of a room of like.
Dude, there's a lot of
And I-
like,
and
there's a lot of babies
Before we get into the people who've married because of our parties, people who have had kids for our parties.
There's a lot of
There's
them.
a lot.
Actually, we need to hear what's the biggest thing that Matt took from the promoting aspect into his real life.
I honestly think it's a little bit of intertwined between what everyone said, and just to take it a little bit deeper, I think it comes down to relationships. And first and foremost, everyone at this table, I give so much credit to for dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old Matt LaBrie.
Alright, call himself out.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Nah, I respect it.
It was an easy one.
No.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I literally replay instances in my head, and I'm like, holy shit, did I say that? Holy shit, did I do that?
You did.
I did. I know I did.
You kept us on our toes, man.
I'm not mad at myself for doing it. I just question it because now I look back and I'm like, yo, you fucking changed a whole lot. And I literally remember multiple times, for instance, Nicole, when we first started stereo after Imperial, she's like, yo, you're different. Like, yeah, I mean, I hope I'm fucking different. I was fucking wild. I was crazy. I said stupid shit. I was just blunt. I was out there. I still am.
You was mean to girls.
I was gonna say, so
I
literally
still am.
nothing's changed.
That hasn't changed.
No, things have changed, but ultimately it comes down to relationships to the point, and obviously we were saying networking, we were saying how that helps the business, following up with people, building friendships and things of that nature, but from a very deep level, it's like, at the end of the day, just being able to be there for someone, being able to provide them with something that they need, in that sense that we were just alluding to on multiple different facets here. I love that, and that right there has yielded me opportunities to, for instance, work with Damon, do a whole bunch of other things. I wouldn't be able to work with Damon unless Phil introduced me to George or reintroduced me to George and things of that nature, right? Like, at the end of the day, it was a huge trickle effect. Even to this day, being able to get hooked up with someone that AJ worked with, who's making me a hat now, the kid Lucas that you worked with for Blipstar, literally making me a hat that I want now. Like, the list goes on of the whole relationship building. So to me, that's the biggest takeaway. And of course, that sounds a little bit basic because of course relationships are huge, but it just goes to show how big they really are when you look full picture as to all the years that we put in what we did versus now. It's still paying off. Paying
That's
those
huge.
dividends.
Yeah.
It comes into
That's
leverage.
At the end of the day, yeah, good leverage.
And one thing I want to say in regards to what you were saying about relationships, people always say this, and you hear this a million times. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And obviously everybody here agrees. But I think there's one part of that people really don't speak about is, did you go out of your way to make those relationships? Did you network those relationships? It's not what you know, it's who you know, but how did you meet them? How did you find them out?
How'd you get there?
How did you get to that spot?
Do you keep that relationship oiled? That's the biggest part. Because
Yeah.
you can know somebody, but just because you know them, are they going to do something for you? Because you needed a favor? Are they look? How many times do we look and someone reaches out that we haven't heard from, and you're like, wow, like they're reaching out because they need a favor.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
If somebody is consistent with you, you would never even question that.
I don't even question it though, because we were doing so many favors back in the club days in regards to this person wants to sit next to the stage, they want to meet fucking Fetty Wap, they want to do this, they want to do that. At the end of the day, I don't even question it because we had so much power back then that, I mean, of course they're going to ask those type of questions, you know? So, I personally don't question that. I respect it
now.
Yeah, I honestly respect it because if I was on the other end of it, I would probably ask those questions too.
Their connections then with us, yes, and we would want to do anything because we were the provider, and if we could say, hey, Phil, AJ, could you guys move somebody away? We got people, and I know they're going to buy more bottles, and they'd rather sit there.
Yeah.
They would do that in a heartbeat because it's customer satisfaction.
Right. You gotta
I mean, like
read
the long term, if that person didn't hit you up from that time that you moved them close to the stage to now, and they're looking for something, you're going to question that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm telling everyone here and everyone that's listening to this podcast, keep your relationships oiled because you don't know who's doing what and where.
It's always better with lubrication.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's very important though. You have to
Coming
nurture
from
it.
the guy with 2 kids, he knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Another thing the clubs taught me patience. Getting 200 to 300 texts on a Friday or a Saturday, how to deal with them all. Okay, maybe you don't have 1,000-person grand opening. Maybe it's only 400. How to not get discouraged so that the next week becomes 500. The next week becomes 600. So you start snowballing it, and it gets to a point where it's just repeatable on its own. So patience is huge. The other thing that clubs told me that applies to business is, like Nick said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But there's even one more step, it's who knows you. So the greatest feeling in the world,
Shout out to Manny 1B Branding.
the greatest feeling in the world is when Phil Mascia doesn't have to text his whole phone book to come out. Phil Mascia gets his phone book to automatically text him.
Right.
And then the people who he knows in his phone book, their one-arm reach people text Phil as well. And now it's like instead of me digging for a guest list that night, it's coming to me. And when you have a business and that happens, it just says one thing about you. It means you're really doing your stuff right. It's admirable, and people are remembering you because you do a great job. You make them feel great.
Right. That's huge.
That was the best part, the easy stuff where it was like, hey, my birthday's coming up. We want to get, 3 bottles. We want to do that Ciroc special. And do you think you can get us some extra sparklers? Like,
But let me ask you a question. Why did they hit you up? Why didn't they hit up somebody else, some other place? Because of what you said.
They knew it was what I would do for them every week prior to them coming for their birthday weekend. It was me being able to get them a free drink.
Trust.
Me being able to get a group of 5 good-looking girls to the front of the line and not have to wait. It was because of our customer service and expertise and being able to know how to play your own cards, so that the cards played you when the time came for it.
Let's end this on a fun note because we got a little.
We're definitely gonna have to get a part 2 on this, though.
We need a part 2. Let's end this on a fucking fun note, though.
Sure.
And collectively, I don't want to hear a before story because you guys are old as fuck, Phil and AJ.
Hey.
Old as fuck.
You guys are fucking dinosaurs.
It's
true.
I want to hear collectively your best and or funnest memory between us in the clubs.
That's easy.
All right, so start.
You know
It's
where I'm
easy.
going.
Go ahead, start.
Oh, you're gonna.
You know exactly what I'm
How
going.
you say
Philly goosebumps. Philly goosebumps.
Oh, there was a birthday of Phil's that I don't think he was really versed in taking shots. So this was the first time he took more than maybe like 3 or 4 shots in a night.
Oh, this is the 19th birthday?
Oh yeah, this is Phil's 19th birthday.
Dang,
And,
guys.
Shots of apple
I
juice,
said
by the way.
collectively, us together. I wasn't there his 19th birthday. I was 10.
I you were like 6.
I was 10.
He was born.
You were 15. Take it easy.
You're 16. I was 15. Good night.
No, 19. But anyways.
You want me to continue that one or you want me to end that one?
End that one. Give me a good one.
It had nothing to do with us being in a nightclub. It was the barbecue.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
The barbecues and Phil's yard.
That's fine. That was the relationship that we had.
What
Just
year?
hanging out.
Memorial Day weekend barbecue, what year? 2012?
11.
11 or 12.
11?
11 or 12.
The same year we started Imperial.
I would say that one and the one that you guys had at your apartment.
Middle Village, yeah, that was a good one.
That was good. I don't believe Sabino was there, but it was the
No, it was.
after party at the pool
On that pool.
And Nicole's
at
pool.
Nicole's
That was a good
house.
one.
That was a very good one.
AJ's wife, I believe it was just girlfriend at the time. You
I'm not
know,
even sure.
nice in-ground pool, and she was the head bartender at our club, and she was like, we should go back to my house and have a pool party after this. So what did we all do? It was about 3, 4, whatever.
It was definitely past 4, I'll tell you that.
We go
5
there.
a.m. minimum.
Where if you guys are familiar with the Bayside Whitestone area, Christina's Deli, Cherry Valley, you know those delis.
Has nothing on Panini Shop.
We
Nothing.
A lot of inspiration from them though. Shout outs to them.
nothing, but we had a pool party.
You know what
we
you guys
ordered
didn't have?
sandwiches.
You know what you didn't have? Bathing suits.
Yeah,
Facts.
so
Facts.
it didn't matter. We went in our boxers and we had a great time, and that was probably one of my fondest memories with you guys. And I remember I was supposed to, I promised my aunt I would help out on the co-ed softball team that Sunday morning. And you better believe I did not show up because there was no way I was able to play.
Because you got home at the same time the game started.
No, I slept there.
Oh, I didn't.
I was wrecked.
I'm gonna sound corny. I'm gonna sound corny.
I don't think you are, because I think I have the same one as you. Let's hear it.
Yo, I'm gonna sound this corny. I loved every night with you guys.
That's,
That was corny.
no, that's great, bro.
True
That's
love.
great.
I really, really did. I don't recall any time that I despised going to the club. Despised going to quote unquote work.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't
work.
because we never looked at it as work.
It was never looked at as work.
It was never, ever looked at.
I think that's what people need to take away from this. Is like they need to find a way to make money
Doing what you love.
doing what you love. I'm gonna keep it real. What I'm doing right now, I don't love the way that we did clubs. Like I really don't. When I look at it like that, I don't.
You'll
And that's-
never love anything like that though.
It was wild.
It was wild.
It was
Yeah.
wild.
It was a time
really
of our life
fucking
too,
dope.
you know?
It was really fucking dope. But when I look at it, it's just like I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about like the whole process and all these things. It's like I never once felt tired. I remember you multiple times said to me, dude, like, are you not tired? I would work 11 to 10. Same thing, 11 to 10, go to the club, wake up, 11 to 10, next day, 11 to 10. And I would never sleep, I didn't care. Go to school, Monday. Honestly, no care in the world. And I don't ever recall a time where I was like, you know what, I don't want to go. Of course, things came up where I might have been traveling or something of that nature where I might have missed 1 week, but ultimately, every single week, from Imperial to Stereo to Central to every single Noah, Rain, all those parties we did, like every single time I absolutely loved it. From the times in Imperial when we're fucking spraying champagne off the fucking bar, like fucking savages,
Throwing
to
napkins in the air by the
throwing
thousands
that
at a
never
time.
stopped, to Stereo in the corner fucking
You
bar,
want to
how
start
you
a-
doing?
You want to start a pack of napkins from Europa?
That's savage.
In
You know
my
what I
house.
have? You really want to know what I
I know,
have?
so that was
Oh,
always
I have
that.
that motherfucking sign.
Let me
I
just-
still have the beads.
Let me
from
just jump in
Smoke.
here for 1 second. On the last night, Matt stole a sign. That was supposed to be
You
my
guys thought
wedding
you were at the
present.
Coliseum that night staying and stuff.
That was supposed to be my wedding
And that
present. I still
sign's
never
heavy.
got it.
That
I
sounds
tried
amazing.
taking the exit sign. The exit sign wasn't coming off. And then I got 2 fucking guys, Scribbles and Cody, to take off the fucking Europa sign, put it in my trunk. I just got
That was
off.
supposed to be my wedding present. You never gave it to me.
It can still come, bro. It's in my garage.
It's a bad friend.
I
That's
just
when
had
you
this-
give him a godson.
I need
It's
that.
gonna be my wedding
I need
present.
that.
I need that.
What I was going to say, and what I thought you were getting at before as a collective thing was, I think the first thing that we ever did together outside of the club business that really was like a life event. Like I'm not talking about, you know, going on vacation together or going out to eat together. We made money together, we had a good time together. But the first real life event was when AJ and Nicole got engaged, when they got married. And we were all sitting, you know, at the engagement party, at the wedding, and it was just crazy to see how every single person around us, there was people from the club business there. There was owners of clubs that we've worked with. There was bouncers. There was literally people from the industry all around us. And that was because of our success. Like, you have this podcast to decode success of people out there. And, you know, it's something funny because now we're sitting here, and I thank you for having this podcast because we're kind of talking about decoding our success. And one thing I was saying to you earlier that really stood out to me when I was thinking about all this stuff was people say if you work a day in your life, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And we all can agree to that. But the one mix I have on it is, if you do what you love and you do it with your friends, you will never work a day in your life, and you'll have a great fucking time doing it.
Yeah.
And that's huge to me. That's the biggest thing.
Think maybe we're gonna get another engagement party anytime soon, please?
I mean, shout out to Stevie Tells, 6 months. This has been a good time, brother. We love you. We thank you. We miss you. Nicole misses you because she's gonna beat you up after this.
Literally, yeah.
We know Nicole
it'll
wears
be
her
a
pants,
fun
by
one.
the way.
Listen,
Yeah.
it's Dr.
You
Nicole.
talking to me or talking to him?
Oh, Nicole wears the pants.
Which Nicole?
They both
They're both
do.
Nicole.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
Honestly,
Is Nicole.
No, you know what? This is what I told my Nicole. Don't worry about who's wearing the pants. Harrods works best when nobody's wearing pants.
How's your Ferrari?
So, one thing I wanted to, I wrote down some things over here. One thing I just wanted to say before we officially tuned off was, shout out to anybody who has been to any of these parties. If you're listening to this and you've been to one of these events, you know it was extremely memorable.
We're also
You guys-
very sorry.
No, this is gonna be an Instagram clip we post, by the way.
If I miss any, please guys let me know. You know, just rattle them off. But shout out to anybody who's been to a Remy Teen Night. Shout out to anybody who's been to Metronome in Glendale when we do that teen party.
Oof.
DNA, Club One, Cave, Lemon Tree, F1, Sowell, Status Fridays at Europa, Imperial Saturdays, System. We got Stereo, Spa, Rain. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of one-off parties. Obviously, we missed.
Did you say Imperial?
We said Imperial. Oh, I missed Area as well. You know,
No.
just if you think about all the events that we've ever done, and you think about the total attendance from all of those events, you're literally talking, I would confidently say, probably close to 1 million people that have attended events
Yeah,
between all the
absolutely.
parties that all of us have done
Fucking powerful.
in the tri-state area.
A lot of them
we've
came
collectively
multiple
had
times.
Over 1 million people. Now,
Yes.
let's go, you know, the next episode we'll get into the other stuff, but people have gotten married from these clubs, people have met each other, people have had kids. We have literally contributed so many different things to people's lives, and it's all because of the 6 of us sitting at this table.
Facts.
I want to apologize to anybody that ever left our party on Thanksgiving Eve with a big lump on their head. Because there was a few of you.
Yeah.
You had to sit at Thanksgiving dinner with a nice big lump
It's
on
done.
your head in front of your mom and your grandma. So
Facts.
to those people,
That was
I
that was
apologize.
so good. I don't even know if I should say the story.
There's no more
Let's end it on this note. Gentlemen, Sabine, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you
You
for
guys
laughing.
have a couple.
Steve, Phil,
Appreciate you.
Nikki,
Yeah.
appreciate you. AJ, my brothers,
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Until next time, everyone. Peace. Thumbs up.